嗨，大家好啊！係啊，歡迎緊咧翻到嚟今晚Day 492嘅烏克蘭晚間直播啊！大家好啊，好啊，今晚咁咧就呢一個直播咧，其實我哋都相當高興啊，因為咧我哋講起咧就今日咧，我哋咧就邀請到咧就烏克蘭一個嘅 NGO 嘅負責人咁咧就佢可以同我哋咧分享翻，佢喺嗰個支援烏克蘭而家戰爭上邊咧可以咧做得到嘅嘢，所以就都相當高興，亦都有同我哋講呢位負責人咧 Kristina 啦。傾過下偈，了解咗佢哋本身個組織啊，了解咗佢哋本身咧嘅使命啊，同埋咧佢哋而家做緊呢嘅嘢啦，咁樣嚇。都係一個比較新嘅 NGO，而家咧開始咧喺大概今年嘅2月份嘅時間啦，咁咧就開始去 run 咧呢個 NGO，咁而佢亦都喺前線嗰邊運作緊啦，已經。佢嘅地方咧係真係一個炮火連天嘅地方，我哋叫做 Kramatorsk 㗎。Kramatorsk 即係我哋成日講咧克拉馬托爾斯克呢個地區咧。之前咧包括例如 Sloviansk 嗰啲地方咧都係被攻擊咧嗰啲位置啊。所以咧都係值得令人尊重嘅一個好危險嘅工作。咁而我喺訪問 Kristina 咧，其實喺星期三、星期四啦。時間咧，其實佢哋亦都星期三度啦，佢哋遭受到呢個導彈襲擊包括咧來自伊斯坎德爾 M 型 Iskander 嘅 missile 嘅襲擊，所以咧就當時都相當擔心咧 Kristina 身處個地區個問題，好彩咁咧就佢冇事，但係佢亦都有同我哋講到咧就嗰個嘅悲劇咧10零人死亡跟住好多人受傷亦都嗰個嘅導彈咧降落咗喺一個嘅餐廳裏面，所以咧都有好多人嘅傷亡出現咁樣。當然呢啲咧就 Kristina 又同我哋分享，就佢喺嗰個感受咧就真係好深咁樣。咁所以咧就今日都會邀請咧 Kristina 同我哋講下，而家咧喺烏東嘅地區，包括咧喺頓涅茨克啦，而佢自己咧就喺 Kramatorsk 呢個位置咧，其實佢哋巴赫姆咧都相當近唔夠100公里非常之近嘅地方。可以分享一下而家喺烏克蘭軍隊前線嘅情況啦。亦都包括佢哋去幫助嘅對象佢通常會去做一啲嘅乜嘢嘅物資嘅供應佢需要啲咩嘅援手咧？大家所以都可以去講。當然啦，我哋咧去到咧後少少嘅時間咧，例如我哋同咧 Kristina 傾偈一路去傾偈嘅時候咧，大家網友咧都可以留低一啲嘅信息當然你可以話向 Kristina 咧加油打氣嘅字句啦，又或者可能咧將你一啲嘅問題就問翻出嚟，無論係中文、英文都冇問題嘅，總之咧就我手寫我口咁咧就總之你想表達咩信息，你寫低喺地球上嘅文字咧就應該能夠理解得到嘅。所以咧。我哋咧會幫大家盡量咧，今日都未必可以咧將全部問題咧都轉達得到出嚟。但係我哋都盡量去抽一啲問題咧，就去問下 Kristina，等佢去為大家解答咧心中咧嘅疑難咁所以咧去到最後咧，我哋睇翻咧 Kristina 咧佢要啲咩嘅幫助等等呢個情況啦。咁大家可以咧根據翻自己嘅意願同能力啦呢個咧就冇一定而論嘅。大家可以去隨心咧去做一個選擇，好嘛？我哋大致咧就個情況咁樣啦我哋就等多少少網友入嚟，好嘛？係啦，等多少少網友，我哋而家大概係有300位網友左右啦。係，大家好係，呢集應該都黃標噶啦。今日咧除咗我之外咧，仲有 P 姐喺度。喂，P 姐你好啊。係啊，係啊。係啊，咁所以咧今日咧 V 姐咧會幫手我哋咧去做一個 interpretation 傳譯嘅情況，咁我就會同Kristina 咧就主要傾下偈或者去將大家嘅問題啦，咁咧就問一問咧 Kristina 呢個情況好啊，大家好，係咧，大家可以咧幫手俾下 like 噶嘛。好，而家你大概有300位呢個朋友，咁當然啦，嗱，大家你話喺捐助嗰個問題上面咧，如果你哋有等等咦，又出翻去把聲。好，而家 B 姐試下講下嘢。
咦，我而家好似都係咪有聲
有啦
啊？
有啦有啦，應該有啦。啊，真係有時啲嘢真係唔知點解
個
嘅。
OBS 咁奇怪嘅。
係啊，唔明嘅。
Hello，大家好啊！頭先其實同大家 hello 完咗，再 hello 多次。今
係啊。
日我係嚟做呢個傳譯員㗎，咁就問題咧就會等各位提問啦，同埋 Larry 兄都準備咗一啲問題俾阿 Kristina 嘅。
係啊，咁所以咧就大家亦都有其他問題咧，可以即係盡快講。咁我哋咧就會有下半場嘅，或者可能我哋會開另一個 live 啦。咁就會去報道翻而家前線嘅情況，所以今日可能會係上下半場嘅情況都唔出奇。唉，唔好意思啊。
而家未見到阿 Kristina 個樣，因為其實佢一 live 咧係 show 緊佢個樣出嚟，係咪你要整一粒嘢出
哦，
嚟？
係，我哋陣間我哋
一陣
介紹嗰陣時，我哋
哦
就會出嚟
哦，
睇睇下。
我驚你望唔
哦，係，
到咧。
冇錯冇錯。好，好，大家好啊。好，咁啊，大家都係支持烏克蘭嘅朋友啊。咁所以今日咧就都會係即係睇下個情況係點樣啦。係，好，大家好啊，都有啲新嘅朋友喺度啊，即係見到。係，咁啊，大家亦都有同 Kristina 打氣啦。係啊，好，多謝 Sonline 啊，多謝你嘅 Super Stick 嘅支持啊，多謝你。係，咁啊呢集都黃標多噶啦。好，咁啊另外咧就Mike 多謝你啊，多謝你 Super Stick 嘅支持。入嚟冇廣告，有廣告，入嚟冇廣告應該未黃，我真係唔知啊。今集黃嘅機會十分高，因為一有烏克蘭呢啲字啊，跟住即係烏克蘭啲嘢都大家都知係咩事嘅，都多噶啦。
哦，
係。
我是話，我想問點解琴日嗰集會變咗做無題嘅，跟住個封面仲改咗做嗰個 LCS 嘅？
哦，改咗啦，係啊。改咗
因為係咪
之後，
咁樣
我無題
先
改
黃啊？
咗之後，一路測試佢有冇嗰個綠標嘅問題。我唔知點解我改咗做無題，佢冇都唔得，但係我改咗 LCS 就得啦。係啦，改咗 LCS 就得啦。
哦，
咁唔知其實 turn out 都係關嗰啲字定係關嗰張圖事咯。
我 both
係啊，
啦。
但我覺得關字事大啲，所以無題咗先，無題咗先。但係今晚咧就都冇辦法㗎啦，即係冇可能寫無題㗎嘛，係咪先？今晚就一定都要咁樣，咁所以一定要試一試啊。係，好，大家好啊。呢位咁咳發，跟住嚇親人，我知㗎啦，應該會好啲嘅。係，有冇咩渠道可以贊助炮彈俾喺上面留言？有嘅。我揾翻應該有呢個渠道嘅，有呢個渠道嘅，係有呢個渠道嘅喺上面炮彈。係，咁我揾翻個渠道，可能我哋之後我哋睇下點樣去做呢件事咧。又或者我將條 link 俾大家，大家喺上面寫咧。係啊，咁可以 cap 低張圖俾大家高興下啦，得閒。係，好 Lankin 好你好，好722你好，好啦，咁就我哋差唔多500人啦。我哋而家咧都差唔多有500人呢個情況，可能大家都習慣咗，通常會遲入嚟少少嘅。我發覺近期都係好，咁我哋就準備同阿 Kristina 傾下偈啦。好，咁我而家咧就教翻咧就今日咧大家會見到嘅 Kristina 嘅係好，我而家搞一搞先啦。好，Hello Kristina。Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
hello there.
Okay, so actually, our program now will kick started now, and so first, I will on behalf of Neo Hong Kong NHK, our YouTube channel, to welcome you, and to receive our um, interviews about the Ukraine news updates, and it's about your organization NGO, what is really going on here, and so let us introduce a little bit about. Although I know you have been hearing about it for many times. It's we are a group and we are concerned about Ukraine news, what is going on since day one. That means 24th of February last year, and until now, we have never been stopping for one day, really. And so we really support, but we just want to see any action and anything we can really offer the real help sometimes, except our, the intermittent donations from individuals. For example, as a group that we can help, to divert so many concerns to different channels or to different community of Hong Kong or the Cantonese community in order to help them to raise their concern over the situation, the danger, the suffering now from Ukraine, and how we can help you to equip yourself, to equip the soldiers, to equip, the army in order to fight against the evils, kick them away, defend your land, restore your dignity, and finally, Slava Ukraine, right? And that will be our really target. Although I'm a Chinese, I know it. I'm a Hong Konger, but anyway, okay. So let's get started. And okay, Christine. So can you introduce yourself a little bit, and then you can talk about your organization a bit as well. Yeah.
First of all, I want to thank you for inviting me and letting me to talk to your audience. And I was warned that it's a big, big audience that is really supporting, and the audience that is that loves Ukraine and supports with all the heart. So thank you so much for inviting me, and it's an honor and it's a pleasure to be here. That's first point.
OK，V 姐可以講，不過我講啦，
係咯，
即係總之就 Christina 就好開心，即係今日咧可以即係受到我哋邀請啦，就同即係廣大觀眾見面啦，即係就可以咧分享翻咧即係烏克蘭咧嗰啲嘅情況。OK，Christina，yeah.
And second, my name is Kristina Voronovska, and I'm a Ukrainian volunteer. I've been volunteering since, I think, 26th of February 2022.
哦，
I've been the post for
Christina 啦，咁佢就即係作為一個志願者嘅，咁係一個全職嘅志願者啦。咁咧佢就由舊年嘅2022年嘅2月26號，即係大概 Day 5度啦。咁佢就已經開始投身咧，即係呢個志願咧嘅工作嘅啊。OK。
On the first day of war, actually, I was shocked and I couldn't believe that anything is happening. It was hard to understand that in 2022 someone can start a big and awful war. It was impossible to realize that thought on the 24th of February.
咁 Kristina 就話從開戰第一日咧，佢都覺得好 shock 啦，覺得點解而家呢個2022年啦，竟然都可以有啲咁樣咁殘忍嘅戰爭發生嘅咧，咁樣。
And on the 25th of February, I was trying to join the army, but when I came to the office, they looked at me and said, "Oh, girl, maybe not this time, okay? Try to join territorial defense, or maybe you find something to do more interesting than going to war."
咁佢喺2月25號咧已經想去參加嗰個軍隊啦，但係軍隊啲人就同佢講，可能即係你都一個女仔，都可能做啲其他嘢幫到手啦，就唔好即係 join 我哋做一個士兵咁危險啦。
So then I've decided on the next day, I came home, I was disappointed. It was the second day of war, and I've realized that my family is in danger, my country is in danger, and everything goes really wrong and really awful. So I've decided that the next day might happen something good to me that will help me to stop this war and join the war somehow. Not in army, okay, but I can do something that will help to stop the war.
Kristina 都真係好唔開心啦，唔俾佢 join 咁，但係佢都意識到自己嘅家庭啊，佢嘅國家都係喺危難當中，咁所以佢都想喺第二啲方面睇下有冇啲嘢可以幫到手。
So on the day three, I started volunteering, and since then I'm a volunteer. I'm just a volunteer, 24/7. It's like unfortunately, it's war, but at the same time, it's kind of life of a dream for me, because every day I wake up, the first thing I do, I try to help people. And what else can be more awesome than doing this day by day?
咁啊 ，Kristina 就 Day 3開始咧，就已經去做咗呢個即係 volunteer， 即係義工啦。咁佢就話呢個義工其實對佢嚟講係好似即係夢想嘅工作一樣啦，因為每一日起身都可以去幫助其他人。
So since the beginning of the invasion, I've been working as a volunteer. I've been volunteering in Kyiv because the war started for me in Kyiv. also Chernigivska Oblast, Kharkiv Oblast, Mykolaiv, Kherson, Donetsk region, Lugansk region, Zaporizhia region. Maybe I haven't been, and I haven't helped only, I think, in Sumska Oblast, but I'm going there also to volunteer a little bit in Sumska Oblast. So I think I've been everywhere on the front line since the war began and helped throughout the front line.
呢個要 Larry 兄幫手，亦有好多地名。
係，我瞄咗每時，所以大家聽唔到我 cut 係嘛？嗱，咁頭先咧Kristina 咧講咧就係佢喺開戰之後咧，佢去過好多州啊，即係包括基輔啦，去到哈爾科夫啦，咁啊又去過盧甘斯克啦、頓涅茨克啦，又去過赫爾松啦等等，扎波羅熱話佢基本上話冇乜嘢前線佢冇去過啦，即係咧佢都會即係嘗試走過去，會睇下點樣去幫手啦，即個意思就咁樣，係。
And in April 2022, I've started my own NGO because I've realized that it's better to start working officially, to raise donations officially, so they go throughout the official bank accounts, which are open to the country, which are open to benefactors. So it was crucial for me to start working officially in case, not in case, but in the name of trust of donors and sponsors.
咁啊 ，Kristina 就由2022年嘅4月開始就建立咗佢自己一個 NGO， 咁可以去officially 即係官方咁樣去可以俾大家放心地去捐錢啦，因為你可以有一個即係政府承認嘅，譬如銀行戶口啊，同埋一個 NGO 啊，咁大家都會放心啲嘅。
And from the beginning of the war, we've been helping, I've been uniting different volunteers, just kind of freelance volunteers and volunteers from other organizations to work with civilians and to work with militaries. Actually, from the very first day, we haven't been prioritizing nor civilians nor militaries. We were working for everybody and still helping everybody. But nowadays, the biggest focus is for helping and supplying militaries right now.
咁 Kristina 嗰個 NGO 咧，佢就係自己會有一啲嘅義工啦，另外亦都有一啲可能大家都係志願團體嘅 NGO， 咁啊大家一齊去做一啲義工啦。咁佢又係會同一啲平民啦，又或者同官方嘅軍隊一齊都會做一啲 volunteering service 嘅。跟住唔記得咗咧，已經補一補。
Me personally, I'm what I do throughout the war. I'm trying to raise donations to buy supplies for the militaries, and also trying to get supplies for civilian missions and civilian operations, and also supplies for like donations and supplies for militaries. And I myself deliver all those supplies, even on the front lines and the zero lines if needed. Like doing dangerous but interesting work for supplying as civilians as militaries.
咁多數咧都係會即係佢攞一啲物資咧，就係俾一啲 military 嘅。俾佢哋用啦，咁佢有時都會即係親自送呢啲物資去到好前線嘅地方，因為都好想親自去俾到啲物資佢哋使用咁樣樣。
And also, as when I came to Kramatorsk since February 2023, I started to work a lot as a translator on medical and case evacuations. Kazakhs, when we're trying to take injured soldiers out of the front line and taking them to the hospitals and stabilization points. And since then, I'm also keen on helping with medical supplies for the hospitals and stabilization points because they are really in need of supplies. Medications and other medical stuff to help injured soldiers, which the number of which is sometimes enormous.
咁從2023年開始咧，咁 Kristina 就去咗 Kramatorsk 啦。咁佢主要咧就係即係負責去運送一啲醫療用品啦。咁同埋有時都會帶一啲受咗傷嘅士兵去醫院。咁亦都會幫呢啲醫院咧搜集一啲醫療用品啊，各樣嘢可以俾呢啲受傷嘅前線士兵用嘅。
So, in conclusion, in the introduction, I'm the person who lives in the frontline territories, trying to find all the needs of the militaries and civilians in here, and trying to help other organizations to find their ideal recipients of the help, and also trying to supply as much as possible civilians and militaries in here on the front line.
咁Kristina 嘅總結咧，都係其實佢而家最主要咧就係喺前線啦，即係用一個平民嘅身份喺前線啦。咁佢就希望運送俾啲軍隊佢哋最理想嘅物資啦，即係佢哋有咩需要都想運送俾佢哋啦。咁另外都會幫一啲喺前線嘅平民，又或者喺前線嘅軍人，即係佢哋有咩需要都希望可以幫佢哋搜集到，即係輸送俾佢哋咁樣樣。
Yeah, maybe I haven't covered something, so please, any question?
Yeah. Sure. There will be tons of them, I think. But surely, I just want to know a little bit about the update for the Kramatorsk now. Because, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, right? I mean, the missile attack. The missile attack, from Russians, as I know, they launch Iskander-M, which is a ballistic missile. Surely, that caused a lot of damage. Except from the cruise missile, which is a very powerful, destructive weapons to the town. And as I heard, the missile fell onto a restaurant, and I suppose this is a very busy restaurant in the downtown, and caused a lot of casualties. A lot of people were buried there. It's really a unlucky incident. But what was going on there? I mean, at that time, and what's the situation like now?
Well, it's not for the first time when this kind of missile was launched here in Kramatorsk and the cities that are near here. So, unfortunately, Russian side they do not care that it's a civilian city, and that is why this type of missiles are unfortunately common in Kramatorsk.
咁 Kristina 就話其實 Kramatorsk 都呢個市中心咁繁榮嘅地方，都係第一次俾啲導彈咁炸啦，都係一個好即係好不幸嘅事啦，咁樣。
Yeah, so Kristina, as I heard before, that should be last year, I suppose. The train station, is it the train station that was attacked by the missiles? I think should be missile, but instead of the Iskander, should be some other missiles or bombs attacking the train station. And that a lot of people die, about 50, I think. And that would be very chaotic at that time, I think, right? As well.
Yeah, but still, it's not the last target that Russians have. For example, this restaurant, unfortunately, for the first time, Russians took the responsibility for this restaurant, by the way. It's not the common thing that they say that, okay, we have attacked the restaurant and it was our target.
咁 Larry 就問 Kristina 上年其實炸火車站都有好大嘅傷亡啊，咁樣啦。咁 Kristina 就話其實即係成日都係咁噶啦，咁都係好不幸。咁同埋其實俄羅斯就每一次都係否認佢哋做咗呢啲事，話唔係佢哋炸嘅咯。
It's the common thing when they target the schools. It's the common thing when they target kindergartens. Though people are still living in here and they still live with kids in here in Kramatorsk, for example, and the situation the city recovers very fast after every kind of attack, but still this one was abnormal, and because of enormous amount of casualties that people who were in that restaurant at that moment.
咁就話其實俄羅斯都成日炸佢哋啲學校啊、幼稚園嘅，咁但係佢哋個城市其實都可以恢復得好快。咁今次呢個真係好唔正常嘅不幸事件，咁都發生咗，就因為都好多死傷，咁所以就好多人會留意。
And the worst thing that here were kids in that restaurant, and so out of 8 people, I think 3 were kids who died in this accidents, or I don't even want to call it just an accident. It's tragedy.
咁Kristina 就話今次間餐廳應該係有8個人就死亡，咁其中3個係小朋友啦。咁佢就話呢個都唔單止係意外啦，其實係一個悲劇嚟嘅。
And there were my acquaintances and my colleagues, volunteers in there at that day, and unfortunately they also were injured.
咁Kristina話佢同佢一啲嘅義工咧，其實都喺嗰日都受咗傷，都喺嗰度唔好彩地，係啦。
Questions? Because I can talk a lot.
Okay. So actually now I'm reading from our chat box, So actually I got a lot of questions, right? But surely I think I can just call you later on and we can talk about it later on. But so now I try to collect the questions from our fans, So to understand you a bit more. Okay, so let's take some questions there. Let's say, surely there could be a lot of question about about Kristina, like what's the most memorable moment or the unforgettable things, but we will talk about it later on. We talk about some factual stuff like there's a question about the infrastructure now in Ukraine. The infrastructure. Now, is it, there's a lot of them were demolished by the missiles, bombs, and the Russians, their strategies, right? They burn down everything. They will bomb everything, and they're not trying to leave anything for you or for themselves as well. Okay. And so how do you feel it? And actually, what about Kramatorsk now? The infrastructure, is it like, for example, the daily necessity, water supply, electricity, the public supply, public utility, is it still okay in Kramatorsk, or what about other situations in Donetsk region now?
Kramatorsk is kind of, it's a paradise here in Donetsk region, to tell the truth, because even to tell like a small funny story from my life.
咁 Larry 兄就問，因為俄羅斯人都好中意破壞啊啲所有嘅 infrastructure 嘅，咁而家個 Kramatorsk 佢裡面嘅 situation 究竟係點咧？即係譬如水啊、糧食啊、生活用品啊、電啊各方面會唔會都 OK 咧？跟住就要揾 Larry 兄啊，我聽唔到 Kristina 答咩？
佢話有啲即係我聽到佢話，應該有啲尷尬係咪 Kramatorsk 答 ？Okay, so how's it look like? In Kramatorsk and to compare to other regions, Kramatorsk, is it a better situation really?
It's not even about the situation. I was asked in Kiev a month ago. I was asked, do you have people even in Kiev? They think that it's a disaster in here. They asked me do you have a biscuits in the shop? Like, do you buy biscuits in the shop? And I came to Kramatorsk and made a video. We have everything, everything packed in our supermarkets. Everything's fine in here.
咁我同大家想象唔同，即係佢都俾佢基輔嘅朋友問，究竟佢係咪連超市連一塊餅乾都冇啊？佢就話都唔係嘅，原來去到其實所有 supply 都係好正常係有喎。
Ukrainians are this type of nation which never, we never give up. That is why even it's a city near the front line, everything works from the barber shops to the coffee shops. Even restaurants, they also work. Now you know.
因為其實Kristina 就話，因為烏克蘭人即係啲唔放棄嘅精神啦，所以就算喺最前線，就算非法鋪啊，又或者 cafe 啊，又或者啲餐飲嘅地方，其實都係一樣正常地開緊嘅。咁啊，真係好犀利。
Okay, so as I can see that actually the situation in Kramatorsk is not too bad, right? I mean, when you compare to other frontline cities, yeah.
But if compared to other frontline cities, because luckily Kramatorsk is not shelled too much, and I hope it won't, because since I came here from February, it was much worse in here. Now it's just, a little bit easier.
係啦，咁 Kristina 就話佢2月嚟嗰陣啲情況其實差啲嘅，咁可能因為佢哋即係重建得快啦，頭先都話，咁而家嘅情況已經好咗好多啦。
因為佢有炮轟啦，即係嗰時 shell 佢哋。So Kristina, how is it look like now in Bakhmut? Bakhmut, is it? I mean, it's a hell, really. It's a lot of people like Zelensky. Your president has described it like a hell of the world now. It's I mean, it's really undesirable for soldiers, I think all inhabitants, all people, villagers left, I suppose, because nobody can really survive in such an area. And how does it look like now really in Bakhmut and or do you receive any soldiers from Bakhmut and they need some sort of help from your NGO?
What about help? Yes, of course. I've been working as a translator on medical evacuation, and we've been working with the soldiers who were we were taking them injured soldiers to the hospitals. And at that moment, I worked a lot with the guys from Bakhmut, but it was like at least a month ago, and still the situation in Bakhmut. Actually, I haven't been there because when I came here to Kramatorsk, the access to Bakhmut was already restricted to the volunteers because it was very dangerous in there. But at the same time, I worked with the soldiers who were on the positions near and in the Kramatorsk, and we helped them a lot with supplies, which we got for them. That is why, for the first time, I came here to help soldiers who were working in Bakhmut at that moment. Okay, let me stop for the translation, and then I will continue.
問下 Kristina 而家巴夏姆點咯？因為巴夏姆嗰邊即係 suppose 打得好嚴重，變晒頹垣敗瓦咁，應該即係都冇乜人住到喺嗰度。咁啊 ，Kristina 就話其實佢喺 Kramatorsk 呢邊咧都唔係好聯絡到巴夏姆嗰邊嘅，因為嗰邊其實係要即係已經封鎖咗，平民就唔可以過去嘅。咁但係佢就會幫手照顧一啲由巴夏姆嗰邊去咗 Kramatorsk 嘅士兵啦，睇下佢哋有咩要幫手咁樣。
But recently, I've been to several places which are now on the zero line, and like yesterday, I've been to Avdiivka, not for the first time. It's also the cities that kind of like Bakhmut right now, but still Bakhmut is the worst place in the world. Maybe like the president is totally right, as the soldiers see it, as they told me, like they see Bakhmut. When they come out of there, it's a total hell, and nothing is left. But at the same time, being on the zero line in one of the villages, to tell the truth, I have never been to Bakhmut, but if it looks the same, I don't even want to go there, because I've seen a village like that was destroyed totally, and unfortunately, in every basement there were like the bodies of civilians who were killed by Russians or by missile attacks or by Russians in every basement, and the village was really, it was dead from the beginning to the end. It was dead, and everything was destroyed to the zero. And still can't believe that there are people who can make that to the ordinary cities.
咁 Kristina 係啦，咁 Kristina 就話其實咁佢都未去過巴赫姆，但係去咗一啲都係而家係變咗係最前線嘅地方啦。咁佢見到個情況都係好得人驚啦，即係佢其實如果可以嘅話都唔想去嘅，因為佢去咗嗰啲地方，譬如村裡面見到啲地牢裡面咧，全部都係平民嘅屍體，咁佢都即係成條村其實已經變咗一條死村啦。咁佢都好難相信點解會即係個地方會可以變成咁樣樣嘅咧。
So yeah, so I'm so sorry for the tears, but it's just the memories of the recent adventures. Let me go like that.
咁我 Kristina 都話，即係其實佢都即係諗翻起嗰啲影像都忍唔住會喊啊，因為都真係好慘，見到嗰度嘅情況。
Okay, Kristina, yeah, we can understand it. Yeah. So I mean that's a sort of I'm sorry for your loss. Yeah, for your country. We all feel the same. I mean, because our story has been your story. I mean, so have been covered for around 500 days here already. So that could raise some concern sometimes in our community, and we can share your suffering as well. Yeah. So hope the suffering will be got over really soon for that as well. Yeah, God bless Ukraine. And so there could be still a bit more questions about the our fan will be more concerned about the supply. The supply now in Ukraine, is it sufficient still in front line? Like for example, it could be like the equipment for soldiers, or could the medication for the soldiers, or even could be later on about some rehabilitation services for because they were being limbed, and so they lost their legs, arms, the limbs. So so first is is it sufficient now? I know it's really harsh. I know it's really harsh. Nothing could be sufficient, but relatively, is it still sufficient now in Donetsk region?
Yes, of course. Like if to talk about supply and soldiers, like there are constant needs that unfortunately you cannot cover with the supplies which go from the government. And it's not easy also for the soldiers themselves to pay, because they pay for a lot of things by themselves. So they pay with their own money, with their own salary. And once I was told Ukrainian soldiers have the salary of $2,000. That's not truth. They do not have this amount of money. It's hardly like I think $700 a month. Plus, if they fight, yes, they will have money, but it's not like 2,000, not for sure. So they do not take a lot. They do not get a big salary, unfortunately, in here, and still they have to pay for a lot from their own money, and the government doesn't supply enough. Let me stop for a translation and I will continue. Okay.
OK， 咁其實Larry 兄就問 Kristina， 其實前線嗰度咧，嗰啲譬如醫療用品啊，又或者 equipment 即係設備啊、武器啊嗰類 supply 夠唔夠啦？咁另外會唔會有一啲即係康復嘅治療俾到啲士兵？咁 Kristina 就話其實當然即係前線嘅 supply。政府就俾得唔夠，無論係武器啊各方面都唔夠嘅，咁好多時咧都要啲士兵自己掏腰包用自己嘅人工買。咁佢話佢好啲士兵就算每個月譬如佢有700蚊嘅美金，咁但係其實因為有好多嘢都要自己買嘅，咁就算有多錢都唔夠用嘅。
For example, I have on my table, I have an IFAC, I call it an IFAC of a dream because it has everything that, for example, I know that I need it, but in the IFACs that are given by the government, it's not back the same. So I call it an IFAC of a dream because I want to, for example, to supply as soon as possible for the soldiers the same level of IFAC with additional tourniquets.
I don't quite understand what is your equipment. Is it?
Medical box, medical IFAC, individual ambulance kits or how to
first aid kit， right? Yeah.
係啦。係啦，咁 Kristina 就 show 咗一個係呢個急救用品啊，即係俾前線士兵用，咁佢就擺晒所有落去啦。咁當然佢嗰個 package 咧就會好過政府俾嗰啲好多啦，即係齊備好多嘅。
Or just received and even haven't unpacked it yet. Have to give it to the soldiers. It's a controller for the drone. It's not obvious that soldiers need it, but they do need it because not everybody can afford kind of controllers, and still the effectiveness of war depends on the comforts of the work.
咁另外佢啱啱 show 咗嗰個咧就係一個 drones 嘅 remote control 嚟嘅，咁可能因為佢我唔知係咪因為政府 supply 嗰啲咧就比較唔好用，咁呢個可能好用啲 sensitive 啲，咁所以佢俾啲士兵咧就會控制得好啲啦。
Or I'm testing right now the headphones. Also, we supplied several headphones for their militaries, and I'm testing right now because some people say that they do not work as it has to be, but need to test what something change the headphones that like the militaries if they have the request for the headphones.
係啦，咁另外就有一啲 headphone 啦，都係買俾前線嘅軍人用嘅。
Questions?
Yeah, sure. So there would be some fans who want to know about the injured soldiers. So are they going to be treated immediately? Because we are really concerned about their life and death, about how they can get the rehabilitation later on, or at least can be cured at the scene. And so they can save their life. Maybe it could be if they recovered and later on they would just get back to the front line. We don't know, but at least we have tried to get them safe, try to get them home, sort of. So how's the situation now in Ukraine, the soldiers, or that some soldiers that you see? So are they getting any cure properly?
Well, I think I can say positive, like they give the treatment, but at the same time they need the volunteer support while getting this treatment. What I mean, for example, on this stage before they injured, for example, my NGO, I'm keen on supplying the IFACs, the stretchers, trying to search for the cars. Or for the cars that can do medical evacuations for the military units, because as much as we supply and give opportunity for medics to work, then less injured soldiers or the soldiers that are dead we will have later. So we're kind of trying to save their lives before they're injured. And after they're injured, it's very important to help them with getting the normal treatment. It means that the doctors can give the receipt on the medication, but sometimes soldiers need the support to buy those medications or find these medications, or also have an additional treatment if the treatment from the government is not enough.
咁啊 Larry 兄都問 Kristina， 咁佢哋一啲嗰啲康復嘅服務啦，同埋啲前線嘅士兵，如果去到即係醫院，譬如可唔可以得到足夠嘅醫療啦？咁 Kristina 都話即係盡量幫手啦，佢哋即係希望前線嘅士兵可以有一啲嘅治療。 咁佢都需要好多嘅義工嘅 support 啦，即係譬如頭先佢講嗰個急救箱啦，即係想俾一啲好啲嘅急救箱士兵，咁就令到佢哋喺前線受傷嗰陣咧，可以即時就即係治療到自己啦。另外佢都想有多啲嘅醫療藥物啊，咁樣可以俾醫院啊，又或者啲士兵帶去前線用，咁都可以好幫助到啲士兵嘅。
Yeah, Christina. So yeah, I just got a really personal question, but I think a lot of fans will be curious about as well. It's about the casualties in Bakhmut. You know, it's a secret really. Somehow, they really don't know. So the how many soldiers were were hurt, and they were dead or what, But according, I mean, to your observation, or that could be some news from you. Surely we will try to keep it low key. Then, the situation will be. Would it be more serious than what we have ever thought about?
Yes, they estimated, I think that estimated amount of people who were injured and dead since the beginning of the war is like more than 100,000. I mean, 100,000. Yes. It's like, it's something when you say this amount of people, I mean, military, not counting civilians. It's kind of a goosebump, so all over the body, right? Because it's an enormous amount of people, and we still don't know how many people were injured in that in Bakhmut, and no one will say that, but it's more than 20 or even 30,000 people, and unfortunately, in half an hour, like I'm gonna start crying again. In half an hour, there could be like 200 people dead in just half an hour. It's like it was kind of. The situation that once was in Bakhmut during the fights, like
really
30 minutes.
Yeah, really scared.
係啦，問 Kristina 會唔會即係知道巴克姆啲傷亡數字咧？因為佢有冇啲即係內幕咁樣啦。咁 Kristina 就話其實都唔知道嘅，因為佢就話由開戰到而家咧，大概烏克蘭人全國啦就有10萬個士兵死傷，咁淨係巴克姆咧估計可能有2萬至3萬個啦。咁亦都有人話咧，差唔多每半個鐘就會有200個士兵嘅死傷，咁所以呢個數字都係一個好龐大嘅數字啊！真係。
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, that's really sad to hear that as well. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing in this war is like that people are injured and dying, and a lot of them, as you said, they lose their limbs, but they want to come back to the front line because they want to stop the war, no matter what. No matter what. But unfortunately, we cannot bring back those people who are dead already.
They were, they were brave soldiers, really. Yeah. There's an honor to Ukraine, to get such men, such gentlemen to defend your territories.
Because also in Ukrainian army, there are not many women in our army, but still we have women in the army, and they do.
Yeah. Yeah. The bravery for women as well. Yeah.
Yes.
係啦，咁 Kristina 都話，即係戰爭最慘就係有好多嘅受傷啦，同埋死亡啦。咁有一啲即係受傷嘅，當然盡量幫助佢哋啦。咁死亡嗰啲即係帶唔到佢哋翻嚟，所以佢都真係好傷感。
Okay. So let me see any questions from our chat box. Okay. So let me just take a look at that. Let's see. Yeah, that's an interesting question, really. Very interesting. Is have you received any injury soldiers from Russian side?
No.
No.
No. Luckily.
Luckily, no, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good then.
So what will you do if you receive some really Russian soldiers?
I don't know. I won't respond, maybe, or I will tell the inner someone in the inner, like the police or someone.
係啦，咁 Larry 兄就問有網友問，即係佢有冇 收到啲俄羅斯嘅傷兵，咁 Kristina 就話冇嘅，咁我就問下佢，如果真係收到，咁佢會唔會真係醫治佢咧？佢就話應該都唔會，可能會即係報警。
Okay, yeah. They will find as well. Okay. So let's see any questions there as well. See, we got a lot of questions really. Yeah. So let's see. There could be some duplicated. So let me just find. Yeah. If we can send money, you can get better supplies. Yeah. Christina can talk about it later on as well. Let's see.
One of our audience asked, "What's the most memorable or unforgettable moment?" Yeah, of Christina's mission.
Yeah. You can talk
year.
about it now as well. So some unforgettable things. Yeah. There was some I mean some smart boys coming say you're beautiful sort of or sorry joke and some other unforgettable stuff as well. Yeah.
Well, maybe unforgettable moments. I have lots of unforgettable moments, but maybe I think the most unforgettable for right now is being on the shifts with medics. We were waiting for the casualties that were brought from the zero line, and we had to stay several shifts for several days in the forest. And actually, maybe the worst memories when on those days there was shelling with avia bombs, and it was maybe still the brightest memory in my career.
係啦，咁網友就問阿 Kristina 最難忘嘅時刻啊咁樣，咁佢就話佢應該係同一啲醫護嘅人員一齊返輪更，咁佢就要喺啲森林裏面幾日，就等一啲傷兵運送去到佢哋嗰度醫治嘅，咁佢哋等嗰陣就等係好心急啦，又驚嗰度喺自己會唔會俾人炸啦，又驚會唔會好多傷兵嚟，佢哋應唔應付到啦，咁佢就話，所以呢個就係佢最難忘嘅即係任務咁樣。
Okay, all right. So Christina, so I would like to ask a question. So I think a lot of fans here will be concerned as well. It's about the effectiveness of of your organization, for example. So how will you assess the effectiveness? So for your service to the target audience, would it be some sort of waste sometimes, or how are you going to prevent the corruption? Because you will still get some sort of the equipment that could be from America, could be from Europe. There should be some sort of expensive equipment. It could be somehow. And so how are you going to get sure that the stuff got to the soldiers or got to the military departments and they are really using it to the front line? So do you have any assurance program, or how are you going to track them down? Like we always look at the weapon tracker, the Twitter to see, or Oryx. We got the Twitter account to know the casualties or the damage of the apparatus about the weapons. So how are you going to trace them down, to track them down about whether they are using it effectively?
Well, I know my soldiers. That's the answer, because all the people and all the units that I help, I know at least I know at least the half of the unit. So I meet those people. I know those people where work what, and that they will use it. And they, that's the idea of my NGO. I'm trying to skip all that bureaucracy stuff, which when you have bureaucracy, you have corruption, like at that very moment. Sometimes it happens. Lots of bureaucracy, lots of corruption can be hidden inside. It's like it works in Ukraine. That is why I'm trying to skip all that bureaucracy and trying to accumulate donations or receive supplies strictly on NGO and then give it like to the hands of the soldiers. If I, for example, raise donations, I buy something, and then I, even if I post it by post to the other sides of the front line, at the same moment I know who I'm giving these supplies, and that's what helps me to work effectively. Because when you're knowing that you're given strictly into the hands of these or those people, you know what they're doing with this stuff, with these supplies, and you're sure that they will use it and not just, spoil it, because it's important.
Christina, may I ask, how do you document your donations to the soldiers? Do you take photos, or how do you show to the world that the donations have reached the soldiers?
Yeah, because it's quite important. Yeah, sorry, because I know I'm talking about over and over again, because it's really important. This before, Hong Kongers, we are really enthusiastic group of people, and we have been doing a lot of donations to the world, like China or Japan or Taiwan. Usually Asian countries, because we are Asians, and we have witnessed a lot of say typhoons, floodings, different sort of the disasters, natural disasters. We have been witnessing so many times, but finally somehow we will be a little bit disappointed by the effectiveness. For example, the corruption. It could be in China, some sort of the Red Cross, the organization that you can believe that should be voluntary services, or that should be clean, but finally it all goes to the corruption. Became a kind of bribes to the officials, or to the anyway, to the organization, some sort of the management there. And so we are just about to concern, and I will be a little bit harsh at that point. It's because for Ukraine, the place, it could be somehow will be deemed as a bit corrupted in Europe. I mean, for the bureaucracies, the government stuff, So we were really highly concerned about, how they are going to use the weapons, the stuff here. And so you can keep a tighter eye on the supply there.
Mm-hmm. So I've got the question. Well, actually, yes. The problem is that Ukraine is kind of a corrupted country, and not a bit.
We know
that
it,
is why. Yeah. Fortunately, I'm so sorry for that. We're trying to change that. I'm working with NGOs and working in a charitable field and the NGO field for a long time. And I'm trying to fight that for a long time, but I promise that Ukraine will change. We will change our country for better, I promise you. But still, we are starting from ourselves, from small steps. So I'm starting from my NGO, right? And what I'm doing in my field, first of all, I'm trying to get all the donations on the official account. So I need to, every year, of course, I need to send the report to the tax service, and to show all the incomings and outgoings. And also I'm open to show it to the people who are donating to the organization and who are sponsors of the organization. I want to show the transparent incomings and outgoings on the bank accounts, and with all the accounted. That's step number one.
OK， 咁其實Larry兄都問翻啦，咁點樣知道嗰啲捐款咧係真係去到用家手上嘅？咁Kristina都話其實佢就係嘗試去跨過 skip， 即係跨過嗰啲官僚系統啦，就自己直接將嗰啲 donation 咧，即係捐款咧，就用去嗰啲士兵手上，即係佢自己親自攞俾啲士兵，咁就知道 skip 咗中間嘅好多嘢，咁就避免咗中間嗰個貪污啦。咁佢點樣可以俾人監察到咧？其實佢就係佢哋自己 會係每一年咧都要去烏克蘭嘅當地嘅稅局啦，就要俾份 report 佢，咁就即係要 accountable，即係佢哋即係稅局都要審核佢哋呢個 NGO 究竟係咪真係收幾多錢啊？有幾多寫幾多錢出去啊？咁樣。咁另外啲捐款人咧，如果有要求咧，都可以睇下佢哋份 report。咁佢就希望呢一個佢哋收入同埋用嘅錢咧，都係好透明嘅，即係俾大家知道當中冇扣起啲錢啊咁樣。呢個係第一點。
Second point, when, for example, we've received donations and I need to buy the supplies. So, of course, I buy those supplies only from the official dealers or from the guys who are able to show their documents. So I have all the documentations on what have been bought, and I'm trying to buy everything that is certified and etc. 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 So it might be something good, right? So it's step number 2, and step number 3. Of course, I'm making photos and videos when giving something to the soldiers, and trying also to document all my daily work so people see like the road of the donations on my personal Instagram account and also on the Instagram account of the organization. So I'm trying to show everything that is going on so people know that their money are secured for the donations strictly.
Thank you, thanks a lot. 咁Kristina 就話其實佢佢用啲捐款買嘅時候咧，咁就一定會去一啲 official 嘅店鋪啦，咁佢哋就可以出一啲真係official 嘅 receipt 俾佢，咁佢就可以keep 翻呢啲 receipt 啦，咁到時就可以好容易查到數啦。咁另外咧，佢喺攞啲物資俾前線嘅士兵嘅時候咧，都會影相啦、拍 video 啦，咁佢就會擺上去個 IG 嗰度，咁大家其實都喺 IG 可以見到佢同佢個機構兩個 IG 啦，都可以係睇到佢做嘅嘢嘅。
All right. So, Kristina, I just wonder, is somehow, how are you going to assess the feedback from the frontline soldiers? You know, I suppose you will value on their feedback, right? And so, for example, would that be sometimes they will complain about the qualities, or they will complain about some sort of this stuff that was not up to the expectation, and so and then you need to change it back or sort of this stuff as well?
Yes, but they complain not that much, and it's a big problem because I had to come here to Kramatorsk to live near those people that I help to understand what's good for them, what's bad, because they're always grateful for everything. Even if you give them, just nothing, they will be grateful. But it's not good. That is why I'm here, because I'm like when you have this friendship connection, it's easier to get the feedback and to know what was good and what was bad. So the next time you progress, and also to prevent these situations that something is not the good quality. First of all, I check with the recipients, so with the militaries that are I'm raising, for example, money right now for the radios, right? And I know that there has to be like certain kinds of the radios that can be used in a certain way. So first of all, I ask lots of questions on how those radios work. Why do they need this exact brand? Why do they need these exact radios? What happens if I, for example, choose another ones, and so on, and so on. So lots of questions, and then we decide. Okay, we are trying to fundraise money just for these exact radios. So when they arrive, I will be sure that the soldiers will be happy with what they got, and also the donors who donated money, they also will be happy because we've bought exactly what the soldiers needed. So yeah, that's the small technology that can be useful.
係啦，咁咧，佢兄都問，咁其實會唔會有即係Kristina會唔會睇下前線啲士兵有冇咩 有冇咩 feedback，即係有冇咩回饋話究竟啲嘢好唔好用？咁 Kristina 就話其實佢都會直接去問啲用家，佢哋即係可能買之前就已經問咗究竟佢哋個 spec 想要係點樣啦。咁知道咗之後，咁佢就去即係 source 佢哋真係需要嘅嘢。咁另外亦都會同佢哋傾用成點啊，好唔好用啊咁樣。咁所以就會真係好直接地知道用家究竟係需要啲咩，買到佢哋手上啦。
Questions?
I think one of our audience asked if they can send the goods directly to you.
What?
Yeah. Do you can they send the goods directly to Ukraine to you, or you prefer them to just give the money to you?
Yeah, if somebody can send supplies, any goods directly here to Ukraine, I can distribute them to the hands of those people who are here on the front line, and sometimes I even go to the south front line, so also can distribute in there, like in Kherson, for example.
Yeah. Okay.
They contact you via your IG. So they can contact you via your IG.
Yes, please on the Instagram, or if it's possible, and then or through my email, which also is shown on the screen. Thank you so much.
咁有網友問其實可唔可以直接地捐啲嘢去烏克蘭俾 Kristina 啦？咁 Kristina 話 OK 嘅。如果真係有一啲譬如醫療用品啊、藥啊，可以俾佢，咁可以喺 IG 啊，又或者而家 show 到嗰個捐款途徑個email 嗰度可以聯絡到佢嘅。
係啊，
咁大家就自己揾佢啦。
係啊，咁咧就嗱呢度先呼籲咗先，咁咧就如果啊你話想捐款咧俾咧我哋講呢個嘅 Kiev Till 啦嚇，咁咧就呢一個嘅機構啊，或者我哋嘅 UA Might 即係旗下機構啦，咁啊可以咧通過咧兩個嘅渠道啦，咁啊包括用信用卡嘅連結啊，咁你能夠咧即係見到咧呢一條 link 啦，咁啊即係你喺網上打，然之後咧就會入到去大概會有Mastercard 啦，有 Visa 啦。咁啊，另外亦都可以透過 PayPal 嘅 link 啦，咁你可以透過即係嗰個email 你去對翻啦，咁啊透過呢個 email 咧，你就能夠喺 PayPal 度咧即係對應翻佢個戶口，咁咧就能夠即係捐款。咁我哋頭先講到就係有網友問到，如果你捐實物俾佢哋好唔好咧？因為實物咧我哋唔太清楚佢哋最後要嘅實物係啲乜嘢。咁所以就未必可以 match 到得到佢哋嘅需要，咁啊可能會製造一個浪費，甚至乎咧就成個過程裏面，可能你去寄俾佢哋啊咁樣，成個物流嘅過程未必係最有效去使用嘅資源嘅情況。咁啊，始終如果錢去到佢哋手，佢哋知道用啲乜嘢嘅 logistic 嘅方式去運送啦，佢哋知道用啲咩人手，同埋咧佢哋知道要買啲乜嘢對應嘅，例如佢哋嘅即係前線嘅軍人。feedback 翻俾你聽，上次可能嗰隻咧喇叭唔好用啦嚇，咁啊今次要用另嗰個新嘅，如果唔係喺戰場會受到干擾或者會有啲乜嘢嘅情況出現，咁啊都係要前線嘅軍人先知，而咧我哋講 Kristina 就係日日都接觸呢啲軍人啦，所以佢會最清楚，所以咧可能最好嘅途徑都係咧捐款嘅途徑咧，咁啊對佢咧會係最好嘅。嗱，咁我哋就先將呢個捐款途徑我繼續擺度，咁我哋問題當然會繼續有啦嚇，咁我哋咧即係都會繼續咧去問翻咧 Kristina 啲問題嘅。Hi Kristina, yeah, I'm just going to show the donation, I mean the access to the donation to our audience. But still ongoing, we still have questions for you. Yeah, it will be a restless night for you. So, yeah, sure. There could be still some more questions about, for example, now you're the volunteer, right? And then how are you going to keep yourself safe, really? I mean, the front line, there could be some bombs, there could be some mines sometimes, right? So to be really, really careful about. And so, how are you going to keep yourself safe? How are you going to keep your volunteers, because you are a leader now, how are you going to keep your colleagues, your fellow workers to be safe as well?
First of all, of course, always wearing vest and helmets on the front line, and always wearing first aid kits. And of course, lots of different details that we are keen on. But I think not the greatest idea, but the good idea was to establish the courses, medical courses on tactical medical training for the volunteers who come on the Eastern Front, which I have established with my friends here in Kramatorsk, because it helps a lot to be sure that volunteers are familiar with first aid, and they can protect themselves and stay alive if they are in a situation of shelling, and also help others to save their lives. So maybe that's even the most important thing, is to know how to give the first aid. That's what we've done here in Kramatorsk, to be sure that people are in safe positions.
我問阿 Kristina 點樣保障自己同埋其他嘅義工都安全啦，因為前線可能又有地雷啊，又有轟炸咁樣。咁 Kristina 話首先咧就要着個避彈衣啦，同埋要戴頭盔啦。咁另外都要準備嗰個急救箱嘅。咁另外都會幫啲義工上一啲急救啊，同埋即係 medical training， 即係醫療知識嘅堂啦。咁等佢哋可以即係救到自己之餘，又可以去前線嗰度可以即係救到啲士兵咁樣。咁佢就覺得呢個係即係佢哋可以做到嘅嘢咯。
Okay, questions?
Yeah. So Kristina, so do you ever have any experience that you almost, step on a mine, some grenades nearby, or some bombs suddenly over your head, any the critical moment that you think, oh my God, okay, I may be doomed now today. So sort of the moments that you have ever experienced.
Yes, that's still that forest that I've been on the shifts with medical teams, and it was really awful because we stayed in the blindage. It's kind of bunker in the ground, made in the ground with wood and sand, and we were standing in this forest, and everything was flying all over us. There were tanks all around. There were mines flying here and there, and it was weird, really weird, because there was time of shelling with avia bombs that were somewhere not far from us, and every time I was just waiting and praying in that small bunker, because if the avia bomb could come in that bunker, nothing could help us, nothing, literally. And the worst thing was that every time I wanted to go out, I'm so sorry to say that, but I was trying to go out for a toilet, sometimes there were Orlans above us. It's the big drone which detects with thermo on it. So no matter it was day or night, if this Orlan, we couldn't see him. So sometimes he was spotting me while I was trying to go just for the toilet. It was abnormal. It's kind of zero line, but still it's a more safe zone than zero line. So I don't imagine what the soldiers are going through.
嗱，咁 Larry 兄都問阿 Kristina 有冇遇到乜嘢真係危險危急嘅情況啦？喺戰場嗰度，咁Kristina 就話其實佢覺得如果最危險嘅情況咧，就係當佢同一啲醫療隊咧喺度翻 shift 嗰陣，咁佢就會匿埋喺一啲地底嘅崩卡裏面。咁其實佢周圍咧都會有啲敵人嘅坦克啊，有啲導彈啊喺佢頭上飛過，咁又有啲 shelling 啦，即係啲好多彈喺度射嚟射去啦。咁佢都唯有喺個崩卡裏面咧都等待啦，同埋祈禱啦，即係希望唔會咁啱炸中自己啦。就算有時喺個崩卡嗰度要出去，因為要去 toilet， 咁其實都會好大壓力咯，因為你唔知即係就算係夜晚黑都可能有啲無人機飛過，咁你唔知會唔會真係咁啱嗰下俾佢見到咁就炸到自己啊！咁所以都冇辦法，即係唯有祈禱。
Yeah, and recently I've been in the village also on the zero line. It's took 10 minutes we also couldn't see this like Orlan or something else like above us, and it just like 10 minutes in that village and we were spotted, and also like the grad, I don't know the translation, grad, it was trying to shell us. So it's absolutely, I'm smiling right now, but it's not funny. Like it's unfortunately it's abnormal it's a normal thing that as soon as you get to the front line, you will be spotted and trying to be shelled with everything, with like lots of artillery, and Russians won't stop. They like crazy, really crazy.
You mean you're in the village and the Russians saw you, but they didn't do anything?
This in this story that I told you.
Okay.
No, there is usually the situations that you will be spotted when you're on the zero line, because Russians do have this like a lot of stuff like drones and everything, so they do really detect on the zero line. So you should be very careful, because like every time I go somewhere, I'm spotted every time, and mines and grads are trying to beat us, but luckily
Yeah, okay, thank you. 咁Kristina 都話其實有次佢去到即係好前線嘅村啦，咁其實係同敵人距離可能係10分鐘嘅距離，咁其實敵人都見到佢嘅，可能用無人機咁樣見到佢啦，咁但係就冇開槍，冇即係向佢哋發動攻擊嘅。咁佢話其實好多時去到啲前線嘅地方咧，好近其實都有敵人嘅，可能俾敵人遠距離監察咁樣，但係都即係慶幸啦，暫時就都冇事嘅。
係喎。I forget to open my mic, turn on my mic. Sorry. So, Kristina, so I just want to know that there should be a lot of questions about, how are you going to be different from other organizations like United 24, for example, So can you specifically talk about the exact difference that you are trying to help the guys with some others like the more, they are more famous. A lot of people, they know them, like United 24, right? Although it's, I think it's quite obvious. So United 24 say it's a kind of the very official government funded the stuff as well.
Yeah, they are official. They're governments. We have several funds, big funds in Ukraine, but the differences are very, very obvious. For example, the big funds, how they act. The military units gives the request to the big funds. Big fund completes the request and gives like the supplies to the military unit, but it gives to the commanders of the level of the commander of the brigade or somewhere on the top, or like the commander of the battalion, but still it's like the top level. And then those supplies, for example, like cars, the funds of like United 24, for example, gave cars to the units number like 172, for example. They gave the car to the battalion or to the brigade, and then this car like buried it, and the commander decides if it goes to the zero line or no. And the differences between me and these big funds, if I receive a car, for example, for the zero line, I give it strictly to the zero line. I don't ask the commanders, the big commanders, do you need it? No, I know directly the soldiers on the zero line, which I know that, for example, lost their cars in the battles recently. And for example, I'm receiving a car right now. So I go to those soldiers and say, like, please sign the documents with my organizations, and here is your car. And they use it strictly on the zero line. And we, in this case, there is no like bureaucracy and corruption, and there is a bigger chance that we help and we cover the needs of the real soldiers, not of the those commanders who stay in calm places and don't even know what's happening on the battlefield. To be truly honest, that's not only in Ukraine.
咁咧，會興就問阿 Kristina，佢同佢個 NGO 同其他一啲好大，譬如阿 Zelensky 成立嗰個 United Train Force 咧，有啲咩分別？即係點解大家即係捐俾佢好啲咧？咁阿 Kristina 都話，因為嗰啲大嘅 NGO 咧，其實係會首先問咗，譬如軍方你有咩需要啊？咁可能就一大 lot 咁樣就買俾軍方。譬如佢就話即係買俾軍方啦，同埋會係即係問佢啲 commander 要咩嘅，咁變咗淨係問一啲 top level 最頂層嘅人要啲乜。咁另外咧就係由頂層嘅將軍啊嗰啲決定究竟佢哋捐咗嘅嘢究竟係會派去邊，都唔知會唔會派去前線，又或者派去佢覺得適合嘅地方啦。咁啊 Kristina 做嘅嘢咧就係佢會直接問喺前線嘅士兵需要啲咩。咁佢籌集到嘅嘢咧，就會直接去到前線嘅士兵手上啦。因為 Kristina 都覺得可能即係啲將軍啊，或者嗰啲好 top level 嘅 commander 咧，都未必會知道其實前線而家最需要係乜嘢嘅。
Any questions?
Okay. Yeah. So we talk about drones, right? We talk about drones in the war.
Yeah.
So actually, how would be the portion of the equipment like drones, for example, or the related equipment in your supplies to the front line? So are they now? I mean, is an important part of the equipment now to the soldiers now, except guns, cannons, and the munitions.
Yes, the drones are number one need right now because it's kind of the wave of the drone war. Like, let me call it. They are widely used by Ukrainian army and they're widely used by Russian army. And unfortunately, Russia has a lot of drones. Unfortunately, they do. And that is why, of course, our army, we're trying to supply with the drones right now more and more. And we are talking about ordinary drones like Mavics, or we are talking about FPV drones like Mavics, or others. And we are desperately in need of them. But at the same time, they cost like a lot. It's a big amount of money that is needed to supply those drones, but it pays back because drones are very important during this war.
Would you avoid to buy drones from China? I'm not sure.
It's a good idea not to do that right now. Why? Because at the same time, Russia has supplies from China, as I know, for the drones. So, yeah. What shall we do? But I actually know that Ukrainians more buy the drones. They don't buy it in China. They buy it in Europe.
Yeah,
mostly.
But I think surely China has an edge for that as well. They're cheap, they get a lot, and they can ship you in a low cost. Yeah, but surely, I mean, let's say DJI, so it's easy to use. We all know it, but at the same time, the Russians will interfere them easily as well. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So we're the supplies all over the world, all over the world. But
the World Factory, right? The World Factory, surely China. The World Factory, surely they supply a lot.
Do you have some startup companies in Ukraine manufacturing the drones?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
I don't, fortunately, and if we knew that it's going to be needed, I think we should have it.
There will be some drone companies, I think, in Ukraine, but they are producing the large scale ones, like can fly around 1,000 kilometers, sort of the stuff. But for the usual, like the personal use, that would be I'm not too sure. Yeah, rather they will do the massive production. I'm not too sure about. Yeah.
No, it's not for massive production. Yeah, we do have like those one that we use during the war, like I mean on the battlefield, but not the drone that you can like buy and use on the battlefield or use like making a movie. So no, unfortunately, we do not produce that kind of drones like this.
係啦，咁咧，瑞兄都問阿 Kristina，咁而家因為啲無人機喺戰場上面都好重要啦，咁所以阿 Kristina 個 NGO 會唔會都係主力都會唔會買啲無人機咧？咁 Kristina 都話其實都知道而家最重要喺前線嘅嘢都係無人機，對啲士兵好有用嘅。咁但係因為啲無人機都好貴嘅，咁所以都即係可能有時買都比較困難啦，即係可能夠錢先買到一架咁樣啦，呢個我自己加㗎咋。咁跟住佢就話我就問佢會唔會即係避免買中國嘅無人機啦。咁佢都話佢都想避免，不過中國嗰啲都真係比較點講咧？
比較多啊，又比較即係講真有競爭力啊嘛。
比高係啦，咁樣咯。
係。Okay, so Miss V, do you have any questions as well? Over, you can ask as well.
From me, questions?
No. I mean, today our interpreter, Miss V. So, do you have any question to Kristina as well?
I saw from your message to Larry that you are working with 5 military units, mostly the special forces. Can you introduce a bit about the special forces at the front line? I think many of our audience will be interested to know what they are doing at the front line.
Well, nowadays in Ukraine, there are lots of people are united on the battlefield, and I work like. Primarily right now I work with special forces. I don't know why it's happened, but still I have mostly the guys who are kind of like it's called marine I think, kind of these kind of guys, and also like just name it, like special units. I don't know how it's happened, but at the same time I'm happy to work with them because they have like very, very strict needs, and they have this, the level of needs when you have to buy like certified tourniquets. You have to buy, for example, like a super cool IFACs. You have to buy like the best vests, for example, and plate carries for them, like the plates and the plate carries, So you have to buy everything the best because it's like for special. And that is why I love to work with them, because you know the level and you're trying to achieve this level. And when you achieve this level, when I work with other units that are, for example, infantry, I still have this, quality level I keep in my mind. So everything has to be like ideal all around me, like perfect.
係啦，咁我就都問 Kristina， 因為其實佢自己即係都有啲自我介紹俾 Larry 兄啦，咁就見到其實佢都會成日同一啲特別部隊啊 special force 一齊做即係幫佢哋嘅，咁我就問佢哋，即係問阿 Kristina 究竟佢哋做咩啊咁樣啦。咁我 Kristina 就話其實佢都唔知點解自己會即係可以同到啲 special unit 一齊合作嘅。咁佢哋多數要嘅嘢咧都係一啲好高質素嘅嘢，例如要啲止血帶啊，又或者要嗰啲避彈衣啊，又或者要啲 first aid kit 急救箱啊，都係裡面啲嘢都係要高質素啲嘅。咁從同佢哋合作之中咧，咁 Kristina 就會學習到究竟邊樣嘢嘅 quality 先係好好。咁到佢幫其他嘅士兵嗰陣咧，佢都會保持呢一種嘅 quality， 咁就變咗即係對佢係有正面嘅幫助咯。
Okay,
yeah.
Great. Yeah,
and
that's great. I think that, so they need the best, right? they quest for the best.
Yeah, they need. And you were asking what are they doing on the front line? Like literally, special forces do right now everything. So, but at the same time, I cannot divide Ukrainian army, into this special and not special, because they're always, all of them are special. But sometimes the units units are created to cover some tasks, like the most important tasks.
Yes, okay.
Normally, we will think that the supply for the special forces are the most efficient from the government. So we expect that they would not have a lot of need for your equipment.
Yes, of course, they do not need too much, but at the same time, when they need something, it might be expensive, or it's not easy to find. And so yes, of course, it's not the least. It's not the least with the socks or underwear. Of course, we do not supply that right now, but it's kind of radios or controllers or good earphones and so on and so on. So technical stuff.
You're going to fill in the blanks, right? Something that anyway.
Yeah.
So they found it missing because of it could be money sometimes. For example, they want a better magazine. So if you can search for them, sort of they will be provide very basic types of magazines for the guns, for example. But perhaps some sort of the alternative if they can get it, so they will get it faster, change it, and then to kill. So perhaps, right? Sort of the examples from such kind of.
Yes, exactly. And sometimes something needs upgrade, and also for example, the cars need also repairment, and that's a big amount of money sometimes. So we raise donations and cover the car repairment, because cars are important on the front line. And if you're repairing the car in time, it means that it will live longer, and then we will need less new cars to come to the front line. So of course it's very, very good to pay also for the repairments in time. And for example, we've been even working with the cases when the guys from one unit, they were using Starlink, and the Starlink needed the repairments, and we helped in this case also with the money that we had on the account. So we just repaired the Starlink for the army, and it also a small thing, but it helps a lot. Kind of secretary, things, secretary stuff.
咁我都問翻 Kristina， 因為我都諗緊，其實唔係政府俾嗰啲特別部隊嘅供應應該係最好嘅咩？咁佢哋應該係乜都有㗎啦。咁我 Kristina 同 Larry 兄都話，即係傾完就話，可能其實
執漏啦，即係有啲位有啲好啲嘅，好少少。
俾嗰啲 quality 差啲嘅，咁佢哋要啲 quality 好啲嘅，係啦。
即純粹係可能呻喂有冇好啲啊咁樣，咁佢咪盡量幫你撲下水咯，有呢樣咁樣，即係因為呢個彈盒好啲喎，塞呢個 fit 啲喎咁樣，咁我即係類似咁嘅 case 啦，我相信即係做好啲咯，即係做到就做，即係佢哋都係做到就做，做唔到都冇辦法咁樣啦。So kind of the last question I think is whenever you try to purchase so many items, right? So many items that you're on the list, right? On the checklist, you have to go for buying sort of. Would there be some sort of the difficulties for you sometimes to shop around like online buying or some overseas, buying, and sometimes there could be, the shipping problem, delay problem. So how are you going to cope with such kind of, daily, the daily problems sort of stuff?
With smile. Only with smile. Nothing bad happens. Everything's fine. Everything is under control, as I usually say to myself. But there are problems sometimes with the shipping. Sometimes it happens that the shipping is longer than we expected, for example, and for example, the unit is already going to the positions, but they need some sort of supplies, and they're still on the road. And it happens, but you cannot protect yourself from these kind of problems. But anyway, you just do your job. You just do your job. everything's going to be fine, like this. And yes, it takes time and it takes effort to go shopping, either it's online or offline. But first, the first step before shopping is always like the most time is taken on research work, because you need to understand what's the best, and that means that you have even like to call to someone and ask like, eat this good or eat this bad? Do I have to choose this or that? So you have to gather a lot of information and then start searching, and then everything's going to be fine.
咁咧就問 Kristina 買嘢啊，譬如 shipping 由外國啊寄去有冇咩困難啦？咁我 Kristina 嘅總結其實佢都係會樂觀地面對呢一切啦。有時個 shipping 係真係比預期長咗嘅，而啲士兵可能即係要求嗰樣嘢嘅士兵已經出發咗啦，咁都冇辦法啦。咁佢就唯有即係出盡力嘗試做到最好啦，做到幾多得幾多啦。咁佢即係用最多時間咧，其實就係要去research 下，即係去做下啲資料搜集啦，睇下點樣先揾到最啱士兵用嘅。即係因為頭先佢都可能話啲特別部隊啊，要求特別高啊，咁你就要研究下，咦去邊度買到呢啲最好嘅嘢啊？要去揾資料啊、搜集啊咁樣樣咯。
Okay. So, thank you, Kristina. So I think that will be going to be the end. I know you got a very busy day. I know. So I'm not going to keep you long, although I really want to talk about it. And so hopefully, I mean, when the world, the war is end, so we can all go there. And if you don't mind, so you can just take us all around. Ukraine is a very beautiful country, I have to say. A lot of the world heritage spots, right? Yeah, so that
Yes.
could be, and we are looking forward to the reconstructions. And I know the international help will be there. Don't worry, we will get the Russians money to help your community. Don't worry. but surely now let us get some promotes here, okay? So for the community here now. 係啊，各位網友，咁其實就今晚咧就都到尾聲㗎啦嚇，咁咧就當然有好多問題咧，陸陸續續咧，我哋都好想繼續去問阿 Kristina 啦。咁我亦都見到好多網友咧有好多問題嘅，即係包括咧可能會問下，有冇可能可以知道咧，即係當地啊，即係嗰個 supply 點解前線都仍然係唔足夠啊？或者點樣可以知道咧，即係當地嗰啲人啊，如果唔撤走又點啊？當地而家前線啲人嘅生活係點？但係當然咧，即係我哋咁講咧。Kristina 咧，佢唔係咧一個政府嘅官員啦，佢唔會有一啲嘅統計數字啊，或者咧即係佢有任何咧一啲嘅 details 咧，知道晒咧全國各地嘅資訊啊，即係好多咧就係佢咧親眼所見啊，即係我哋成日講啦嚇，即係佢眼見嘅，即係耳仔見到聽到嘅嘢，咁所以就一定係有限啊資訊，所以唔好意思啊，即係可能係冇辦法係可以完全滿足晒咧大家所有嘅問題嘅，即係希望大家體諒呢一點，好嗎？咁我哋盡量咧，即係有所有嘅問題咧，咁我哋都會盡量咧去問翻咧，咁或者將來我會將大家啲問題咧，可以的話，我再搜集翻啦，咁咧就問翻 Kristina 咧，佢可能喺書面上可以同我哋答翻，咁我之後睇下任何途徑咧，可以例如話喺個 post 度貼翻出嚟，好嗎？等大家咧可以咧就再了解翻多啲。不過當然啦。而家呢一刻咧，大家都會問㗎啦，就嗰個捐款嘅途徑係啲咩啦嚇？咁所以咧，我哋咧亦都咧 post 咗俾大家嚇，咁咧就一見到咧嗰個嘅途徑啊，即係包括信用卡嘅連結啦、PayPal 啦，同埋咧我哋打咗個 link 咧，就係個關於個 IG 咧嗰個情況嚇，咁所以大家亦都係透過 IG 咧咁啊聯絡到咧 Kristina 咧本人嘅。好啊，咁我哋今晚咧就好多謝咧，即係大家出席啊，咁大家咧都相當之關心咧，即係而家烏克蘭咧前面咁，同埋點樣咧最緊要咧都係嗰句啦，幫到，咁大家可以而家影低咧，即係呢個捐款嘅途徑啦，咁樣嚇，咁啊即係方便咧，即係你或者節目之後咧，唔急㗎嚇，呢個即係之後咧都可以做翻嘅。Yeah, so thank you again, Kristina. Yeah, it's really our honor to to get the interview today to know more about the Ukraine, the situation, the front line, the soldiers, okay, how they're going to fight and how you're going to help the soldiers to save their precious life, to get them home, and especially to defend the country, to fight it back, fight for your freedom. And finally, we have to say Slava Ukraine.
Heroям слава! Love, yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, okay.
It was an honor and I hope to meet you again. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. So let's keep in touch then. So perhaps, for example, the counter-offensive. Later on, for example, Bakhmut, finally it is recovered, restored. Perhaps we can do, or you can step on, Bakhmut again. And so perhaps we can do a live program again, sort of, in near future. Surely. Okay. So anyway, so thank you. Thank you for your interviewing
Yeah.
here.
Thank you so
And
much.
I, on behalf of, the Hong Kong community, Neo Hong Kong, a lot of the other communities in Hong Kong. I would say, although they're not here, we are together. We are heart in heart all together for Ukrainian. So you can save all your countries and you can get your freedom because it's all you deserve. All you deserve. You fight for it. All you deserve for that as well. Yes. God bless Ukraine.
Here.
Slava
Yeah.
Ukraine. Yeah.
Oscar,
Героям
Clay.
слава.
Okay.
You waiting
All
for
right.
your
Okay. So
I
see
will
you
be.
then. Okay. See you
See
then.
ya.
Okay. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. 好，咁就各位網友咁咧就即係今日咧都好多謝咧Kristina 啦，即係上嚟啦咁樣嚇，咁咧就即係令大家咧即係知道更多即係嗰個嘅情況啦。咁啊，我哋睇下日後咧，即係可能會有相關嘅 organisation，如果我哋可以幫得到咧，咁我哋都會盡量咧就去幫助啦，咁樣啦。係一講廣東話就吉，其實唔係嘅。
係
其實係
啦，
頭先咧，我
大家
cut
話你一
嘅時候咧，
講廣東話就
唔係啊，因為頭先咧
你都
Kristina
有
講，
事嘅。
因為 Kristina 講嘅時候我瞄咗自己，咁所以我 cut 咧大家聽唔到，咁但係到我講嘅時候，咁我 cut 啦。同埋咧，頭先有個網友講得好好嘅，其實廣東話同英文嗰個 articulation 個位置唔同咧，其實會引致到嗰個用氣啊嗰啲唔同嘅。英文係真係冇廣東話咁嘥氣，
真係有關係嘅，原來
有關係
你真
㗎。
係講英文哦，
係啊，我講英文係真係個人把聲輕啲噶嘛，你發覺即係我廣東話把聲係重啲嘅，就係有啲分別嘅，事實上係有啲分別，所以咧有位網友係對語言學係有啲研究㗎，係啊，好咁就我之後個連結咧我都會提，我將呢一個捐款途徑我遲啲我 post 翻出嚟，好嘛？咁大家咧就有興趣即係可以去做啦。咁當然我哋都係嗰句，我哋冇眾籌㗎嚇。我哋亦都唔會透過 Neo Hong Kong 咧去做任何嘅收集捐款咧嘅行為，所以大家記住嚇，我哋成件事咧，我哋只係即係介紹嚇，咁咧就KFTEL，即係我哋講即係今日啊 Kristina 代表咧嘅機構啦，咁所以咧就我哋就唔好你話即係捐款嘅途徑俾咗你之後，你就唔好諗住擺落去我度，跟住叫我你可唔可以幫我捐300落去？你就唔好搞呢啲嘢俾我啦，好嘛？即係我哋就唔會負責咧，即係幫大家將嗰啲款項啊咁啊轉嚟轉去嗰啲，我哋就真係唔會啦。咁所以要做嘅其實都好簡單，即係大家咧已經有晒捐款途徑嘅性啊咁樣，或者大家仲想即係再去睇下佢即係包括 fact checking 嘅嘢，雖然我哋都有做到，即係我哋都要睇嗰啲 cert 啊成嗰啲嘢。咁啊，即係大家仲可以去睇嘅。咁啊，我哋亦都同即係沈教授嗰邊去即係了解翻個情況。咁啊，都算係一個可信嘅機構，都係可以。咁所以咧就大家都係自行判斷啊，即係呢個都真嘅嚇。咁我哋唔係 sell 任何嘢或者成，好嘛？即係等大家即係多一個途徑去了解、去嘗試、去幫助咧。咁呢啲機構啫嚇。咁啊，有國安嘅朋友記住嚇，我哋唔係做緊眾籌㗎，我哋純粹係即係幫助咧成件事嘅啫嚇。咁啊，你聽完就算啦，好嘛？好，咁就多謝 V 姐先。哇 ，V 姐你今晚真係好辛苦啊！
你做唔做個烏克蘭晚間線報啊？大家會唔會等你做埋，定係你另外做啊？
會啊會啊，不過我諗我哋另外做啦，好嘛？即係我哋就我哋俾 V 姐唞下，我同埋我都要唞10分鐘。
你另外做好啊，咁你加油啊！最辛苦係你啊
！V 姐你唞唞好啊。咁我哋之後我哋會大概做一個簡短嘅烏克蘭晚間戰報好嘛？咁啊呢個咧就即係我哋個呢個 NGO 呢個即係負責支援烏克蘭軍隊嘅呢邊嗰個今日嘅介紹咧，大概嚟到呢度啦。大家仍然可以繼續留言啦，即係或者喺之後嗰度留言咧，照講好嘛？即係咧其他呢個情況好。V 姐多啲上嚟做節目係啦，即係呢個就大家都想。Larry 試下輕聲講廣東話係唔可以輕聲嘅，廣東話一定係要出力講嘅，呢個冇辦法嘅。
因為有9音噶嘛，我哋好難聽到。
聽唔到啊，真聽唔到。即係我英文得嘅，即係例如普通話你發覺到輕啲嘅，即係普通話同英文都係輕少少嘅語言。係，即係 stress language 係會比較輕啲。我哋係講緊 unstress language，所以係辛苦啲。 不過我好 enjoy 講廣東話嘅，其實係而家啲我覺得係啊，其實我講英文係真係舒服少少嘅。不過冇辦法啦，即係我哋廣東話，我哋梗係要講廣東話啦，呢度係咪？好，咁我哋今日嚟到呢度，多謝大家參與，多謝大家參與啊！真係，我相信咧，即係頭先個英文嘅過程，可能都會對有啲網友嚟講都會有啲挑戰或者係有啲辛苦。咁所以今日真係多謝 B 姐，咁啊即係嘗試下，即係令大家可以更加之融入到 Kristina 嘅世界啦，即係更加了解到佢哋而家前線呢個苦難啊咁樣。好啊，咁我哋今晚真係嚟到呢度啦，好嘛？咁我哋陣間咧，我諗我大概10分鐘後左右啦，好嘛？即係再開翻另一個 live 啦，就真係講呢個烏克蘭嗰個戰事嘅情況，好嘛？好，咁我哋轉頭見啦，各位，係啦，週末晚安啦，
大家下次見啦，
好，拜
拜拜。